Hi everyone, Mark Rhodes here, author of How to Talk to Absolutely Anyone. In this online seminar, we're going to be going through the skill set and mindset that you need to develop to be able to talk to people you don't know, whether that's in a business situation or a social situation. So let's take a look at what we're going to be covering today. Here is the agenda. It says notebooks ready there because, you know, nothing substitutes taking notes in my opinion, even if they're brief notes. We think we're going to remember it all when we understand it in the moment, but there'll be things come up that are really relevant to you in this presentation, and it'd be really great if you could take down some notes of things that really ring true for you, or you think that's really important for me. So this is what we're going to look at. We'll look at why it's important to be able to speak to people you don't know. Then we're going to take a look at what stops most people starting a conversation or saying something. The first thing I want to let you know is that I originally was one of the shyest people you could meet. Those of you who've heard me speak before, or perhaps read Think Your Way to Success, will know that I even smashed my own car with a hammer to fake an accident in order to get out of standing up and speaking in public. Now I speak to thousands in an audience at a time and love every minute of it. So I've made a massive transformation and really want to make other people make the transformation as well. Now, of course, on this seminar, we're not talking about public speaking, but I was exactly the same when it came to speaking to people I didn't know out in public. In fact, I used to be so self-conscious out in public that if I was waiting to pay for something in a shop and I dropped my money on the floor, I'd immediately feel myself turn bright red with a rush of emotion through my body, and I'd be totally embarrassed and want to run away and hide. I'd also, on an aeroplane, not want to get up and get my bag or anything out of my bag from the overhead lockers in case I dropped something or made a mistake and somebody saw me. All that stuff's gone now, and I've completely transformed through the things that I share with people, many of which I'm going to share with you on this seminar. So that's why what I'm telling you isn't just theory. It's actually what I've used myself to make a massive transformation. And even if you're able to talk to people and start a conversation, it's important to know how to carry that conversation on and get good outcomes from those conversations as well. I'm a great believer in that none of us ever stop learning. I'm learning every day. So firstly, let's just dive in here with why is it important to be able to speak to people you don't know? Well, you see, I have this belief that our success or happiness at any point in time is limited to the number of people that we currently know. And that if we want to expand our success or our happiness, then we need to get to know more people. And if we don't currently know them, they're obviously what we might have previously called strangers or people we don't yet know. So another thing about this is also about being comfortable in your own skin, rather than standing in a line in a coffee shop waiting to pay, or in the line at the bank and feel self-conscious because you're surrounded by a group of people you don't know. Why not strike up a casual conversation if you want to? Because who knows where that will lead? Maybe it's a new friend, maybe it's a business contact. Worst case is it's passed a boring moment and made it more interesting for you. Now, this isn't about you going out there and talking to absolutely everyone you meet. You don't have to do that. You could do that with what you learn, but you don't have to. I don't do that. See, my take on how to talk to absolutely anyone is how to talk to absolutely anyone that you really want to talk to. So you know those times when you may be out and about doing something may happen in the environment, or you may see somebody with something and you go to say something but you hold back. They're the times we want to be able to talk to absolutely anyone. When we need something, want something, or when that thought comes up that we could say something but we hold back. So, you know, at the end of the day, I feel it's important to our confidence, our self-esteem, being comfortable in our own skin, and our future growth and happiness to be able to talk to people we don't know. So let's now start taking a look at some of these things that we need to be aware of and cover in order to be able to speak to people we do not know. So what stops most people starting a conversation or saying something? Well, really, it boils down in the main to two things: fear and beliefs. These are what stop most people from actually saying something. Now, we're going to take a look at beliefs later, so let's look at fear, because fear is what causes hesitation. See, fear is usually a subconscious reaction to an event or a thought we have about an event. The fear is usually disproportionate to the event. What I mean by this, in a lot of cases, when we fear an everyday situation, the emotional feeling we get and the terror that we can feel is actually far worse than the worst that could happen to us in that situation. You see, the well-developed prehistoric part of our brain makes us feel just as scared about something quite simple as we would be almost as if we were in a life-threatening situation. It's almost as if the brain doesn't know the difference when fear comes up between a real life-threatening situation and something that just might be a bit uncomfortable. Now, some people find that they can push through fear. You know, they tend to develop a mindset that they are proud that they felt fear but carried on anyway. Other people realise that fear is part of the process. It's just something that happens when they do something that is new to them or they find somewhat uncomfortable. I remember on a radio show a few years ago hearing the rugby star Johnny Wilkinson talking about rugby and when England won the World Cup, and the interviewer had asked him if he ever got scared, if he was ever fearful when he was going to be taking a kick in a game where if they score from that kick, they've won the cup. If he misses, the game's over and they've lost the cup. And he turned to the interviewer and quite simply said, yes, I get scared every time I take one of those kicks. But I've learned that fear is part of the process. You see, sometimes in life, fear and being uncomfortable is part of the process, if we're not able to completely eliminate it or at least reduce it to a comfortable level. Myself, I used to be the most fearful, as I said earlier, of standing up and speaking in public. Now I get no fear at all. I'm just excited to get up there and speak. Yet I know people who've been speaking on stage for 25 years and they still get scared beforehand, and they've just come to terms that it's part of the process, because what they've learned over time by doing it time and time again is that whilst they feel uncomfortable and fearful about the situation, they do still survive it. Even though the brain and the emotional feeling feels like they may die, they know that they survive it, and so they put themselves forward again to do it time and time again. Now, changing beliefs reduces fear, and pushing through, as I've said, can also reduce the fear. I recall a few sayings that come to mind around the whole subject of fear. One of them was on a mirror. There was a mirror in a film, and somebody had these motivational post-it notes placed around the mirror, and one of them said, "Courage is mastery of fear, not the absence of fear." So again, we can see that whilst people may find situations fearful, it's not a reason to stop. It's not a red light, if you like. It's more of an amber light, which is proceed with caution. Be aware that this is something new and different, and you may feel uncomfortable until you're used to it or you master it. Another thing that people often fear, especially with talking to people they don't know or speaking to people in general, is that they'll be criticised, a fear of criticism. You know, but most things in life once we're adults are not about right and wrong, they're just about different opinions and different points of view. Just because somebody doesn't agree with you doesn't mean you're wrong. And even if someone was to criticise you, after all, who are they to criticise you? What have they done to put them in a position that would make them think they could criticise you? I heard something again on TV. This was daytime TV. I was watching an old 1970s episode of Hawaii Five-0, the originals with Jack Lord as Steve McGarrett, and they were trying to crack down on a criminal ring. And Steve McGarrett had come up with this idea and this strategy for what they were going to do. And the governor said to him, "You know what, Steve, you're going to come under a lot of criticism if you do that. But then again, you're a guy who doesn't mind criticism." He turned round, Steve did, and said, "Do you know what? I don't like criticism, but I found out one day that the only way to avoid criticism was to do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. And I just decided the price was too high." You see, the price is too high if we keep going around worrying that we might be criticised or worrying about what people might think, if we're just doing an everyday type of thing in life. You know, we need to get out there and start living our lives outside and not getting caught up inside our heads and causing all the hesitation that goes on before we go to do something. Well, the thing is, if you are at that stage in your life where you've made that definite decision that you want things to change, you want to be able to go into a room and be more confident, you want to avoid the panic, the hesitation, the worrying about what other people might think, not getting the outcomes you want from conversations, not even starting the conversations that you want to have. I know that it's a really, really amazing shift that we can make in our lives when we make that definite decision, just like I did some years back. Made the definite decision, kept at it, made the change, got the result. My life has been so much different since then. I walk around with confidence, comfortable in my own skin, not afraid of who I might meet or what might happen, dealing with everything in a general easy flow, just how life is meant to be. Thanks for joining me on this webinar, and I look forward to helping you again in the future.